Okay guys, in the last lecture we understood what is online and or batch offline and online learning. We understood it in the last class that in the cases where our incoming data is totally unpredictable and we cannot find the timings of incoming data or patterns of incoming data, we will use online machine learning, right? And on the regular iteration basis we will update our machine learning model, right? And in case of batch type of machine learning, we are having our data in hand, and on the basis of those in hand data or data at rest, we will train our machine learning model, right? So this was all about batch machine learning and online machine learning. And in the last lecture, due to some technical problem, we are unable to complete this one, differences or comparison between online and offline machine learning, right? So now let us start the comparison. See, you have some comparison on the basis of some features like complexity features. On the basis of complexity, your online and offline learning will differ in the terms of complexity. Like in offline learning, the model will be less complex because you are having all the data in hand previously, right? So it's easy to model your data model, right? Your machine learning model for those persistent data, right? But in case of dynamic learning, it will be complex enough because your data is coming, or your data set is evolving over the time, and that means you need to evolve your model also. So complexity will be higher than offline learning, right? Now, computational powers. In case of offline learning, you need less computation, but in case of online learning, you need higher computation power because your model is continuously training on incoming data. Like you are going to label your incoming data first, and then only you are going to include that into your data set. So on the regular basis, you need to compute everything for your model, right? That's why the computational power required in case of online learning will be higher, but in case of offline learning it will be less less com- less power needed, right? Less computational power needed because you have already your data in hand, and on that present data only you need to compute your model, right? Now, third feature we will have is use in production. So offline learning model is easier to implement, but in case of online learning, the model will be difficult to implement and manage because it is totally dynamically evolving model, right? That's why it is difficult. But in case of offline, it will be easy because once you train your data, once you train your model, you can use it, you can deploy it in your production, right? Applications. Like offline learning will be mostly used in case of classification problem, like it is written over there, image classification or anything related to machine learning where data patterns remain constant without sudden concept drift, right? So in offline cases, you are having your data in hand, you know that the pattern of data, or you know data model involved in that particular data set you have in hand, right? So in that case where your data pattern is constant, in that case you can use offline learning. That means you already know that which type of data rules and data models are available present in your offline data, right? But in online learning, data is coming on dynamic basis, so applications will be used in finance, like your stock market where the data is updated on regular basis, right? Economics, world economics, health, where new data patterns are constantly emerging. That means the data are coming on regular basis, and you cannot guess or you cannot find any constant or common data model inside that incoming data. So these will be the use cases or applications of online learning, right? And next feature we have tools. So in offline learning mode, you have different Python library like scikit-learn, TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras, Spark, mlib. These are the readily available tools for uses in case of offline learning. But in case of online learning, there are many tools which are totally online database based tool, right? Like moa, samoa, scikit, multiflow, stream dma, that are especially designed for streaming data or in online data or dynamic data, so that you can handle those data and use those data in your online machine learning model, right? So these are some of the differences between online and machine learning, online and offline machine learning model. We already discussed it in last class, but due to somehow we are unable to cover this topic also. So now this is all about online and offline learning. Now come to the next point, we have data sampling or data split. See, the ML model works upon data, right? And that means the model will be data driven. That means it will learn from the data. So if we know that the model is going to learn from the data only, it will going to infer some rules from the data only, which we are going to provide at the time of training only. That means we need to know our data. We need to check our data before giving it to machine learning model. So data split or data sampling techniques tells us that if you are having, let's say, 100 data points for your machine learning, for developing any machine learning model, so you will split those data into two or three categories, but whatever you want to define. But in most of the cases, it will be either train set or test set, and or it can have train set, well set, and test set. You learned it during this topic, where we presented information flow of data, machine learning process. Now you, in the third step, you are seeing that data sampling is there. We are going to sample our data in two categories: training data and testing data. So this is what we are defining right now, we are studying right now, that the data we are having in hand for our machine learning development, machine learning model development, we will divide it into multiple categories for different purposes. Like, let's say, if we are going to define our data set into three category: train set, well set, and test set. So trains, why we are referring it train set? Because this 80% portion of the data, let's say this 80% portion of the complete data, we are storing it as train set. What it means, that this 80% data will be used for training the model, right? At the time of training our ML model, right? Once we train our ML model on train set, we will validate our model. This is well set. Well set means validate, or we can write it here, validation set, right? So common rule tells us that there should be maximum data should be in train set, and 10% should be in validation set, and 10% should be in test set. This is the general criteria we use, machine learning engineers use during model development, right? So validation set will be used for validating your data. Now once you train your data in 80% data on train set, you will use now validation set, 10% of data which is not provided at the time of training, for validating your data, your ML model. If you found that on the validation set your ML model perform well, that means provided you or given you acquired 98 accuracy, that means your model is good enough. Now you will test again those model in test set, which is totally unseen by your ML model. This data is not present either in train set, either in validation set, right guys? So at the time of test set, if it is again giving you a good accuracy, this is the main KPI, this is the major KPI, that if your machine learning model uh, achieve good performance on test set, that means you can deploy it into real world cases. But if it is not the case, and if it is not performing well in test set, that means what it means, it means that your model is overfitting, right? If your model is providing good accuracy on validation set or training set, but it is not providing good accuracy on test set, that directly means that your model is overfitting, it is not properly generalized, there is some problem in your data sampling, right? So we can have multiple data sampling, like some will divide, some will sample your complete data set into two categories only: training set and test set. And training set will be used for training, and test set will be used for testing your developed model. But some let's say, but case is not good enough. So what we will do, we can have our full data set, we will divide it into two part. First part will be train set, and next part will be test set. See, the percentage given here is not constant, you can use as you like, but in the most of the cases, most of the portion of the data will be covered by train set only, right? But it is not fixed that you are going to use 80% data on train set every time. You, if you like 80%, it's okay. Otherwise you can use 70%, you can use 90%, whatever is your choice, you can use that, right? So our full data set will be uh, splitted into two groups. First will reserved for training purpose, that is called train set, and second one will be reserved for testing purpose, on which we are going to test our model, learned model, right? That is called test set. Now train set again further divided into two categories: training set and validation set. We, before testing our model, we will first validate our model by ourselves only on training set data, right? So this is good practice if you are splitting your training data into two part, one for training set and one for validation set, because validation set is used for validating your data uh, at the time of experiment, right? At the time of experiment, if you want to check that your data is performing well or not, you can further split your train set into two categories: for training purpose and for validation purpose, right? So it will be a good practice that you will do like this only, right? Now when you know that your sometimes your sampling technique may results to some inaccuracy in the machine learning model. How? Let's say if you have your data, and which is having two classes, like your data is having two classes. One class is cancerous domain, related to cancerous class, and second class is related to our non-cancerous class. And if you are going to develop your model to classify these data inputs into these two categories, and if your 90% data is having cancerous label as cancerous, and only 10% data is having non-cancerous label, then what will happen, there will be a bias, there will be a generated bias or implicit bias in the machine learning performance. How? Let's say, for example, let's say if 90% of your data covers cancerous part, that means there will be the case that at the 90% of cases, your ML model will predict cancerous label all the time, right? So this should not be, they should not be happen in your machine learning model. Your machine learning model should be unbiased. So make your machine learning model unbiased means you need to provide an balanced data to your input, to your machine learning model at the time of training. If you are not providing such data, that means your model is going to be biased at the time of prediction or classification. Understood my point, guys? So for that purpose, what we will use validation, cross validation technique, where we split our data into multiple categories. Like you can see in the diagram that this is your total train set. This red part and this blue part is total your train set, and you have in the first split, in the first fold, you are going to define first 10% of data is as a validation set and rest 90% of data as train set. After training on that, these train and validation set, you will use second split, and you will, next time you will, what you will do, you will mark your next 10% as a validation test set and rest 90% as test set. In this way, let's say if you have the 10 portions of your training data, training set, in at every 10% you are on the each split, you are marking different 10% as a validation set. So in if you are using this type of validation in the at the time of training, then there will be the case, there will be the chance that your model is generalized efficiently. What it means by efficiently, let's say if you are using cross validation, then the result will reflect in the generalization of your ML model. How, when you are going to test your model without cross validation, this diagram is for cross validation. If you are using if you are not using cross validation, then there may be the chance that your model will perform best or give best accuracy in training set, but it is not it's not giving your good accuracy at the time of testing of your model, right? But if you use cross validation, this is cross validation, if you are using cross validation technique, then there may be the chance that your model will give you a good result or good performance on test set also. That means you without cross validation, your model could could overfit. But if you are using some type of cross validation there at the time of training, there may be less chances that your model will overfit, right, guys? So now, if you are we are talking about data part, and we are going to give data to the machine learning model, let's see the problem, right? In the diagram you can see, if this total is your training data. Let's say if your data consists of majority part of your data is consist of one label, and minor some only some of the data points are related to another class, then there will be the chance that your model will predict this label all the time, right? The label having large volume in the data set could result the could result in the accuracy of the machine learning model. It may be the chance that your model will be biased for this larger amount of class values, right? So you can see here also that majority of the data points are related to blue dots, and minority of the data points related to our my for next class, right? In such type of data set, if you are going to develop your ML model, what will be the consequences? There will be the chance that most of the time your machine learning model will predict these values for all the incoming data you are providing at the time of testing. So what it means directly, it means directly that your model will be biased for these blue points, right? So our machine learning model should not be biased. This is the major research problem right now currently in the market, that how to manage this type of problem, how to manage this biasing problem. So this comes in biasing problem in I don't know the name of the firm or company. uh, the problem arises when HR department calls resumes for a post of manager and like that, and machine learning they applied machine learning model for segregation of the resume on the basis of some characteristics, on the basis of their requirements. And later they found that their machine learning model chosen male person, male employee all the time. Only 1 and 2% female person or female employee will were called due to the biasing problem present in the machine learning model. Because it happens because at the time of training, the data they provided, the resumes they provided to the ML algorithm are belonging to the male gender only, and very less amount of data is related to women gender only, right? Female gender only. That's why that particular model always given given data points as output which are related to male gender, because at the time of training they are getting more data related to male gender. So that was the real world problem of machine learning biasing. So we want that machine learning model should not be biased. And if you want your learning model unbiased, you need to provide correct data to it. Right now you understood the importance of your data you are providing at the time of training to ML algorithm, right? So your data should be balanced one. But in real world cases, every time we don't have balanced data, right? So we need to think about how to resolve that problem, right? So let's find out. We have two techniques to uh, to overcome or to compensate this biasing problem, right? To resolve this biasing problem in the data set. So in the first one is undersampling and second one is oversampling. Let's say we have original data which is having higher data points related to blue one, you can see in the diagram, right? And only less portion of the data is related to yellow one. So for managing biasness in the machine learning model, you can do one thing. What you can do, you can undersample your original data or oversample your original data. In undersampling of data, what you will do, select some of only that number of the majority class which is equals to our minority class. That means majority class will be rescaled to minority class. This is what we call undersampling. That means we are sampling undersampling our data points, right? We are decreasing our data points according to our minority class. If this is the case, this will be called as undersampling. But second option we can have, because see, machine learning model needs large amount of data to be trained, right? So this is not a best choice, because you are decreasing your data set, right? You are decreasing the number of points available in training set, right? So on the other hand, if you don't want to decrease your data, you can increase it by making replicas, right? So this will be called as oversampling. What it means, guys, if you have majority of classes belongs to blue one and minority of classes belongs to yellow one, then in case of oversampling, what you will do, you will make multiple replicas of minority class so that you can balance it at the time of training, right? You are balancing your minority class with respect to majority class values, right? After balancing, you can have balanced data set, right? You can have balanced data set for training your model. In that case you can develop your unbiased machine learning model. So making your dataset balanced is important because you don't want your machine learning model to be biased one. You want your machine learning model to be unbiased. It should not give preferences to any one class present in the original dataset. So what you will do, you will equalize number of data points of different classes in your dataset as much as possible, right? So you have two techniques, undersampling and oversampling. Most of the time we use oversampling because it will not decrease your dataset size, right? But in undersampling you are decreasing your data set size, and this is what we don't want. We need more and more data to train our machine learning model. So I think this data sampling technique and cross validation technique we already described to you. We will discuss it later on again in the third unit. And this problem of biasness and solution of biasness we understood in this lecture, right? I think this is clear to you guys. Thanks.